Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm your host, Anthros Campbell. At the end of a year, persons usually make declarations of what they want to achieve in the new year. And at the same time, persons are assessing how they did on those made in the previous year. Today, we speak with manager in the Workforce Development and Employment Division at the Heart Trust NTA, Dr. Sasha Shim-Hugh, who will give us some tips as to how to make realistic projections. Dr. Shim-Hugh, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
But before we start about goal setting, tell us a little bit about your division.
Well, the Workforce Development and Employment Division is the training arm in Heart Trust. All our institutions, community training interventions fall under the supervision of the Workforce Development and Employment. And as the name suggests, we empower employees, employers to get their workers trained and certified to international standards. So we're about training.
Yes, good job, good job. All right, tell us now, how important is goal setting?
Goal setting is critical if you want to be successful. The reality is that if you don't have a plan, then you will not know how it is that you want to achieve certain deliverables in life. I think what's important, though, is to find out and ask yourself, why do I need to plan? And once you've started to answer that question, then everything else will fall into place.
Okay. What are some of the things we should take into consideration when we're doing up our plans for our goals?
Well, it has been said that you must have a spiritual mind and a strategic output. To ask yourself whether or not this plan is about me or it is somebody else. Is it realistic? Is it something that I can achieve? Oftentimes we make plans because somebody said, oh, I'm too fat, or I need to develop myself, when really you don't buy into that concept at all. And oftentimes we fail because of that, because the spirit is not really in tune with the plan that you have outlined or the plan that you want for yourself.
So some people now who would have had some goals set from last year and they're assessing themselves, and how should they be looking at what they achieved or did not achieve?
Well, if you can't measure it, you really can't manage it. And evaluation is key. Continuous evaluation is key. So some persons create vision boards, and those vision boards take up dust. But the truth of the matter is a vision board is supposed to be a pictorial, constant reminder of what it is that you want for yourself. So by evaluating, it means that you should really be testing the temperature of the plans that you've made. So every now and then you go and have a look. Okay, I said I wanted to start a degree by September. September has passed. Have I even submitted that application form? Or I said I wanted to own a home. Am I saving towards the down payment? So it's really making sure that you first outline in writing, because there's power in writing. Writing down what you want. You evaluate it by just doing a little, that to-do list kind of concept. You go, take your pen, tick off, cross a line to see whether or not I did what I'm supposed to do. We're at the end of the year now. So if you have not yet achieved that lengthy list, you may have a difficulty for this end of year.
Some persons might not understand this vision board. Tell us about it, how to go about doing it.
So right now, vision boarding is a big thing. People even pay to attend vision board meetings. It's really getting pictures of what it is you consider to be an ideal thing. It can be a Jaguar. Instead of owning a Lada now or a Toyota, 5 years, 10 years down the line, I want to own a Jaguar. So I cut out a picture, paste it on a board. I want to be married. I want to own a 3-story house. So it's really putting together the concept in a pictorial form. And then, believe it or not, there is something so spiritual about it. I've heard stories about persons who 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, go back, look at that vision board and realize that they have truly achieved everything on it.
All right, so give us like an example of how we should go about making these plans. Like, is there a template? Help us.
There's no blueprint to your life. We're all unique, we're all different. But something that I've found works for me is having an accountability partner, having a coach. So now I'm doing a program with the School of Greatness. And my coach is Alex Ayama. And what he has taught us is the spiritual concept tied to your purpose and your goal. So I have already outlined some things that I want. And one of the things I wanted to do was be a part of a life coaching institution, and I have that checked off. But then I said earlier that your goals must align with your spiritual concept of self, not what anybody else considers to be who you want to be, and you make your plans along that line. So if your plan is that in the next 5 years you would have traveled to 5 countries outside of Jamaica, that works for you. Maybe for somebody else they believe it's going to be too expensive. But can I tell you, if you articulate and write that goal, I guarantee you, because you have a passion for it, you will make all the necessary efforts to either save that money through a partner or borrow from a friend if that's what you're up to make sure that you are able to take those trips.
So you're talking a lot about spiritual. Are you talking about being Christian? What do you mean when you talk about spiritual self?
Well, spirituality transcends Christianity. We tend to put labels on different things, but spirituality is being at one with yourself, knowing that there's a supreme being. In my case, it's Christianity, but it's not tied to that. But if your steps are ordered, and the Word of God tells us that He knows the plans that He has for us. See, planning coming up again. So it means that we now just need to align ourselves with the plans that He has for us. And even at Heart Trust, we are big on planning. You'll hear persons in corporate speak about KPI, which are key performance indicators. Why is that important? If you don't know what your outline will be for the year and what you want to achieve, then you'll hit the ball all over. But if you are time bound, if you are smart, meaning systematic, it's measurable, it's achievable, and it's realistic, then you will definitely be able to keep monitoring and checking that which you've
Let's go over that smart again.
Sure.
Yes.
So it's systematic.
Right.
It's measurable. It's achievable. It's realistic, and it's time bound.
Excellent, excellent. So I have an 18-year-old who doesn't have a clue where she wants to go or where he wants to go. What as a parent, how do I help? Or as an auntie, or how do I help?
The first thing is to identify what the person is passionate about. See, passion coming again.
Yes.
Because your passion drives your purpose.
Yes.
And if you're passionate about singing, you will listen to all the different genres of music. So find out from your 18-year-old, and even by your observation, what is your 18-year-old passionate about? There is no career now that you can't make money from. Once playing games would be something that losers do. Now, millions of dollars can be made in just designing a game and playing it. So start there. That's a good basis. Finding out what the passion is and build on it.
Yes, okay. We're talking about goal setting. We take a short break now and continue with more from our life coach and motivational speaker, Dr. Sasha Shimhue. Stay with us.
Life is all about making decisions, choosing from a number of options to do a particular thing, which may result in a specific outcome.
It can be difficult, but there are 4 things you can do to help make that decision.
Stop.
Check out what's happening and remind yourself to think before acting.
Think.
Make sure you're aware of the choices, all the advantages and disadvantages. Then think about the consequences.
Act.
Choose the best option and do something about it.
Review.
Finally, review what you have done and determine if it was good or bad. That way, you'll be in a better position to make the next decision, whether big or simple.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. My guest is Dr. Sasha Shimhue of the Heart Trust NTA. We are talking about setting goals that are achievable and how we can forward plan. Thank you for staying with us. Dr. Shimhue, tell us about some of the common mistakes people make when they are setting goals.
One of the biggest common mistakes is that we set goals based on somebody else's perception. And many times, because it's a fad, you hear persons now writing their New Year's resolutions. Oh, I'm going to start going to the gym. It's a very popular one. Everybody's going to be a fitness buff. And then 1 month, 3 weeks after, oh, the bad habits come in. But many times it really takes something severe, sadly, that causes us to really stick with a plan. For me, I had high blood pressure, and that was something that I had to deal with. So I made up my mind. I set a plan that was time-bound. I need to lose 10 pounds in a month. I did it. I changed up my eating habits. So whatever your motivation is, make sure it is something that really drives you and nobody else.
Right. Another thing you need to help us with, though, I want to go back to school, and I said, okay, I want to go and do a first degree. But you can't just, that's the plan. But how do you move on it? I mean, you probably don't have enough money. You probably don't, you want to do medicine, and you're really you're not in tune to that, the sciences.
Yes.
Give us some tips on that.
It may sound repetitive, but it really starts with an internal desire to achieve. If that fire is not ignited, no matter how much information you have, no matter how available the resources are, you are not going to move. So it starts with the mind, it starts inside. So having received all the information and then having the burning desire, you just have to start. You've heard it many times that the journey of 1,000,000 miles begins with what? The first step. I sit here as someone who started my master's with $0 and you have heard I now have a PhD.
Yes.
But the passion to achieve drove me to seek out opportunities. And the wonderful thing about it is when you start and you align your mind with your dream, things somehow fall into place, but you have to be ready. You have to be ready to grab things with both hands, because a closed mouth won't get fed, you know.
Yes.
So many times you have to speak in the atmosphere, that which you want to achieve, and move towards it.
Right. So I make my plan.
Yes.
And I'm just not achieving the goals. Do I stop? Do I throw away the plan? How do I move forward?
So let me ask you a question now. How badly would you want it? If you come to work every day and you're having a miserable time with those around you, you're still coming. What's your motivation? You have bills.
Yes,
So something has to motivate you to achieve. And the truth of the matter is, it's never easy to take on something that you've never done before. You need a circle of persons who can help to push you, drive you, encourage you, because encouragement makes a difference. You cannot do it alone. So when you find yourself in those moments of doubt and fear, call a friend, man. You hear about phoning a friend?
Yes.
Call a friend, or remind yourself as to why you started in the first place, and crawl out of the abyss of doubt and just keep pressing forward. As hard as it is,
Yes.
you can do it.
Somebody watching say, hey, you can stay there. So call out that doubt. How does that work? How do I get myself out? I mean, you're not a psychologist, right?
Yes.
Okay. What are some of the wrong and right attitudes?
The wrong attitude to planning a goal
Yes.
is believing that you can do it by yourself. That's one. The second one is making unrealistic plans. You mentioned wanting to be a doctor and you have 0 subjects. Saying you want to be a doctor within the next 2 years would be unrealistic.
Yes.
There are some steps you have to take before acquiring the subjects, which is possible. Also making sure you have the financial fortitude to support that dream. So it has to be realistic. Another issue that we have, or mistake made, is not setting a time frame. You need to know when you want to achieve it, and also the how. What will it take for me to achieve it? So persons tend not to plan. If I want to go to school and I have a family, is online better for me? And if it's online, will I have the space and the quietness to get this done? Yes. Do I have the financial stability, having sent my children to school, paying off a mortgage, having other things to do? Do I have what it takes? So we have to plan.
Yes.
Systematic. You may need someone to pick up your child from school while you're attending classes. You may need a spouse or your mother, someone else, your child, to help you prepare the meals. So you also need to pull other persons into this dream that you have. And the biggest plan and dream killer is ourselves. We get into our own mind. Self-doubt. We believe we can't do it. Oh, I'm not bright enough. I'm not pretty enough. I don't have the fortitude. I don't have the support system. But once it is that you write it down, the Bible tells us to write down the plans and make it plain. So that's important.
Yes, I was going to say we need to write it down, right? Yes, and we need to self-talk. Right, so people, you just write down your plans. You're not moving or in throws. You know, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Yes. So we've set the goals. Next thing to do is to.
Next thing to go after setting the goals is follow up.
Yes.
Keep making the plans that you've written down a reference point. For me, daily I have on the wall different declarations, things that I want to achieve. And it's a constant reminder of where I have been, where I am now, and where I need to go. Do a temperature check. Always analyze, have I done what I said I'm supposed to do in the time frame that I am supposed to be doing it? Do I need to adjust my plan as I go along? Because some life issue has come up and I now have to think about the money that I saved to go to school. It doesn't mean that the plan has to be deterred. It just means it's delayed for a while.
All right. So you did talk about obstacles coming up, and just tell us, Jamaicans, how to, as you're a motivational speaker, how to overcome these obstacles and move on with our plans, because that's important.
Once again, you can't do it alone. So for me, I have a good support system. I have a good coach. And we all can find, if it's even one person. Jamaicans are so trusting, but you can find at least one person who you can confide in, who will be real with you. These persons can help you to navigate through the bumps and bruises that life throws at you. And that's the reality of life. Things will happen. But when things happen, it is an opportunity. You can learn from them and you can grow.
Excellent.
So it's important to have support.
Excellent. So make your plans, document it, have
Yes.
somebody with whom you would hold you accountable.
Correct.
Go back, look at it just in case, and if you're not making it, it doesn't mean you have to throw it away. Pick up, start again, and find a way to get over the obstacles.
Correct. You've summed it up perfectly.
Thank you so very much. This has been Get the Facts with our guest, Dr. Sasha Shim-Hugh, who is a manager in the Workforce Development and Employment Division at the Heart Trust NTA. Until next time, I'm your host, Enthros Campbell. Take good care and make your plan. Go back and look at it and be successful.